If you wanted to get the media attention of the FBI, you have a few options. You could submit an anonymous tip online and wait for an automated email reply. Maybe you would get contacted soon. You can make a phone call and maybe leave a message. Or if you're a man named Michael Chadwick Fry, you could skip all of that red tape entirely, walk right up to the Dallas Field FBI office, and throw a bucket full of human remains over their high security fence. This is definitely a way to skip the hold music. Although I imagine the attention that you're going to get afterwards is going to involve handcuffs. To ensure that everybody knew what he was doing, Michael didn't just throw the bucket of human remains and run. He filmed himself committing this crime. Like some sort of crime vlogger, he uploaded the stunt, titling the video, "We Send Elizabeth Over the FBI Fence to Summon Them by Force." Because if you're going to commit felonies, you might as well video record them so it's crystal clear for the prosecution. You probably have two questions right now. Who is Elizabeth, and why did Michael think lobbing the remains of a deceased woman at federal agents was a logical way to file a formal complaint? Well, there isn't a good answer, but the short answer is that Michael was upset about past local arrests and felt that the feds were ignoring his calls for justice. The answer gets more chaotic. It involves Michael texting his mother to ask for U-Haul money because he had a body to move. A text that most parents would probably think was a bad joke, but Michael's mom didn't. It involves breaking into a Texas mausoleum, deciding that hand-delivering human remains to government property was a rational legal strategy. But somehow throwing a bucket of bones isn't the only unhinged entry on his resume. This guy intentionally rammed a pickup truck into the side of a local Fox affiliate building a few years prior. Michael has a flair for dramatic entrances when he feels like he isn't being heard. The pipeline from crashing a truck into a news station to throwing a skeleton at the FBI is chaotic and confusing. Today we're going to look at exactly how a local grudge spiraled into grave robbery. Let's get spooky. The suburban sprawl of North Texas is known for its football stadiums, its strip malls, and the fact that it gets so hot that you can't even function outside. It's not well known for the type of activists who believe that grave robbing is the best way to get a federal investigation started. Yet in March of 2026, in Bartonville, Texas, the FBI's Dallas field office found themselves in one of the latest, most bizarre social media mysteries. To most, seeing a YouTube video of a middle-aged man tossing a white bucket over a high-security fence might look like littering. To Michael Fry, it was summoning. The FBI agents in Dallas would walk out to their parking lot to find a bucket full of what appeared to be human femurs and ribs. He intended to force the hand of the FBI, a group that he believed had been ignoring his rants for far too long. The incident was the result of a life spent in the back seat of police cars, and fueled by a decade-long grudge in a YouTube account that functioned as a witness stand for a trial that was going on only inside Fry's mind. Michael Fry had spent a significant portion of his 41 years in the crosshairs of Denton County law enforcement. His YouTube channel, with the name Fry and Barto News, where we reveal mass killers, was how he decided he would summon law enforcement. The video that finally broke the internet was titled, "We Send Elizabeth Over the FBI Fence to Summon Them by Force." In the footage, Fry arrives at the FBI Dallas field office. He's not even trying to hide his identity. He has a large white bucket, the kind that, contractors use. He makes several references to Elizabeth's remains before heaving the bucket over the security fence into the parking lot. The video was a stunt and a confession. Investigators later reviewed the channel and found that Fry had been documenting his descent into insanity with the casual tone of a suburban dad filming a lawn care tutorial. He posted videos that showed him at his Bartonville home holding a human skull he affectionately referred to as Elizabeth Virginia Lion. The skull was covered in dirt, hair, and leaves, as if it had been recently removed from a nearby cemetery. The video was spread across the internet. Even his own family spread it. when a sister saw the footage of her brother throwing a bucket of bones at a federal building, she did what a normal, responsible adult would do. She called the police. So why would Michael Fry bring a bucket of bones to an FBI facility? Why would he think that this was a legal strategy? Well, Fry has spent a lot of time at Denton County Jail. Dating back to August 2003, Fry has been arrested at least 28 times by a variety of agencies, including the Denton County Sheriff's Office, the Denton Police Department, and the Argyle Police Department. His criminal history is a sprawling anthology of misdemeanors and felonies that shows a man in perpetual friction with law enforcement, and his charges range from mundane to literally explosive. He was first charged with possession of alcohol by a minor. He would then have burglary, theft, and public intoxication charges, and multiple terroristic threat and arson charges. Something happened to Fry in 2018. On a Wednesday morning in early September, Fry rented a pickup truck and repeatedly rammed it into the side of the Fox 4 News building in downtown Dallas. As the morning news went on the air, Fry was outside frantically throwing thousands of sheets of paper into the air. The papers were news reports from a 2012 police shooting that was Fry's personal villain origin story. The 2018 incident featured all the hallmarks of Fry's later work: a loud and disruptive vehicle entrance, a flurry of printed grievances, and a confusing message. He left an orange duffel bag on the sidewalk, which prompted the Dallas bomb squad to spend the morning in a high-stakes standoff with what turned out to be an empty bag filled with a lot of papers. When he was finally arrested, Fry told reporters he was running for his life and that he had been the victim of high treason. He admitted to being mentally challenged, but insisted his actions were a necessary cry for help. He was trying to summon the cavalry, but as it turned out, the cavalry didn't want to talk to him about anything other than the damage that he had caused to the Fox 4 News building. Fry's origin story is tied to a specific traffic stop on October 15, 2012. On that night, Fry was a passenger in a car driven by 21-year-old Roberto Carlos Hernandez. And according to the Denton County Sheriff's Department, a deputy attempted to pull the car over, leading to a chase. When the vehicle finally stopped, Hernandez allegedly put the car in reverse and rammed the deputy's police cruiser. The deputy would fire multiple shots, killing Hernandez. Fry was sitting in the back seat. He survived the encounter, but was arrested on a probation violation related to a previous DWI. And from that moment on, Fry became a man possessed by the idea that the shooting was a botched assassination attempt aimed at him. He claimed the deputies missed and killed the wrong person, his friend, instead, and that the entire Denton County legal system had conspired to cover up this act of high treason. For the next 14 years, every arrest that Fry would collect was another attempt by Denton County to silence him. By 2026, he decided that the only witness who couldn't be silenced were the ones who were already dead. As Fry was investigated, they would learn that Fry's activities weren't confined to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Investigators would find GPS data in his vehicle that showed that Fry drove to 3 specific locations: a cemetery in Arlington, Texas, and 2 in Oklahoma City. In February 2026, the Oklahoma City Police Department opened a case involving the theft of an urn containing human ashes from a local cemetery. Fry would later admit to investigators that he had stolen the urn, which he had also featured in videos on his YouTube channel. This out-of-state excursion was just the beginning. The Elizabeth of the bucket was eventually identified as Elizabeth Virginia Lyon. Lyon was a teacher at Denton High School, and she had been buried in the cemetery in Denton since 1949. The theft of her remains was grim. FBI agents and Denton police officers found a damaged mausoleum where a coffin containing human remains had been forcibly removed. Fry had removed the remains, separated the skull, and placed the rest of the bones in a hardware store bucket. Fry's own behavior would be his undoing. On a Monday in mid-March, he went to his mother's house and asked for money to rent a U-Haul. When she asked why he needed a truck, he replied with the kind of honesty that most criminals avoid. He said that he had a body that needed to be moved. Fry then became irate and left the home, prompting his mother to call 911 and inform the Bartonville police that her son was likely having a psychotic episode. The FBI's response to finding a bucket of mixed remains in their parking lot was a mixture of forensic analysis and annoyance. Special agents from the Dallas field office reached out to the Bartonville Police Department after the YouTube video surfaced, and the 2 agencies joined forces to execute a search warrant at Fry's residence on Oakwood Drive. During the search, police found the skull that Fry had been posing with, which still had organic matter from his time in the mausoleum. Fry was taken into custody. but his interview with investigators was anything but standard. He admitted to thefts in both Denton and Oklahoma City, but he refused to tell authorities about where the stolen urn from Oklahoma City went unless the authorities agreed to his list of demands regarding the 2012 shooting. Investigators were facing a man who was bartering with the ashes of the deceased. The bones recovered from the FBI parking lot were a match of the skull found in Bartonville, confirming they all belonged to the unfortunate Miss Lyon. They were able to find some remains, but the urn from Oklahoma is still missing. So why did Michael Fry do this? Well, his motivation was rooted in a very specific sense of injustice. He believes that the only way to break the witchery of the local Denton County officials was to involve a higher power. In his mind, the FBI was that power, and Elizabeth Virginia Lyon was the sacrifice required to get them to the table. He was sending a message in a language that only makes sense to him. The legal outcome, however, has not been federal intervention. It's, well, being charged with felonies. Fry remains in custody with a $70,000 bond that he cannot pay, which I suppose makes sense because he had to ask his mom for U-Haul money. The investigation is active and ongoing as police in 2 states try to account for all of the remains that Fry may have attempted to use for his cause. Thank you for joining me. I'm Kenny, the Spooky Lawyer. Please subscribe to this channel, The Spooky Lawyer. Please like and share this video. If you'd like to support this channel, you could become a member of this channel. I appreciate you considering that. You could also support me by continuing to like, share, and comment on my videos. And I do appreciate you watching my videos. And please stay spooky.